Alright, Assisted Living fans, here's my review for Season 2, Episode 12, entitled Field Day. 8 out of 10. It was super relatable. Takes me back to when I had to pick what university I had to go to after high school. So, off the rip, this was a good episode. Cora is back. She's been gone for a good portion of Season 2. I don't know exactly why. Some people have stated, Jeremy, it could be because of her album. I didn't know she was releasing an album at the time. I knew that scrolling on YouTube, I saw Tamela Mann pop up as a guest on different channels, but I didn't know why. So that could be the reason. I mean, I might do some research, and if I find out, I'll let you know. But if it is the music, hey, it is what it is. Congrats on the new album. I have to check it out at some time. But yeah, kind of like Curtis making his return on House of Pain and falling right back into place. I feel the same thing could be said about Cora in last night's episode. So before getting deeper into the review, make sure you take a moment to hit the thumbs up button to show you like the video. Hit subscribe as we grow closer and closer to 190,000 subscribers. Hit the bell icon to select all. That way you don't miss out when I post content on the channel. And why don't you follow me on social media? Links are in the description below. So we start off the episode with Vinnie just being frustrated at Mr. Brown's corny attempts at comedy, which is interesting because J. Anthony Brown was known to be a raunchy comedian back in his day. Now, Philip actually has a gold medal around his neck because he actually won the 100-yard dash at field day. Basically smoked the other guys. He just got in the zone. Brown and Vinnie go back and forth about their accolades when they were younger as, you know, high school, middle school athletes. And from there, Philip's like, you know what, how about this? Let's do a field day at the assisted living home, you know, Grandpa Vinnie versus Mr. Brown. So we have Sandra looking at both Crawford and Bridgewell as her potential college/university of choice. And she's entered the summer programs for both of them. So she just has to wait and see. I believe she states later in the episode that getting accepted to this kind of summer program is about a 90% guarantee the potential student will be accepted to that particular university. And I guess this places Sandra as a junior in high school. You know, I'm just kind of speculating. I think her character is 17, so she must be applying for the summer before her senior year, because I'm pretty sure taking a summer program at a college doesn't necessarily mean you start that college the next semester. But then again, I think, what's her name? Desiree Ross Greenleaf. Cannot think of her name right now. And I'm pissed at myself because I interviewed her. What was her name? Grace's daughter. You know what? I will think of it later. But she said she was doing a summer program before she started university. So, yeah, maybe she is a senior in school. Like, you know, doing this university is like an intro thing. And then she starts the actual college that fall. So, yeah, I guess she's a senior in high school. So, from there, Sandra talks to Cora about colleges, you know, after talking to her mom. Her mom is just, you know, wanting her to go to Bridgewell and, just says, oh, we can do this and that, and, you know, like, dress alike. And look, as somebody who went to Liberty University, when I tell you my mom has so many Liberty shirts that rival mine, honestly, I feel like she has more than me because I had to throw out so many as time went on, because I started college in 2009. You know, it's hard to believe it's been over a decade since I started college, but that's the truth. And I remember 4 years on campus, and then I did online classes for masters and whatnot. So I just remember the number of t-shirts, coasters, water bottles. I mean, even like in the storage unit in the backyard here, you know, once I get my living arrangements set up and I start opening boxes, I know I have so many Liberty apparel. It's crazy. And my mom, like, whenever, you know, hey, here's a scarf, here's a blanket, here's a shirt, she still wears some of those shirts when she goes to work. So yeah, it's not uncommon for parents to wear the same thing. But as the episode goes on, you could tell, even though it's Sandra's choice, Leah wants her daughter to relive her college experience. But that's, you know, not really the case. So when she's talking with Cora, she vouches for Crawford. Now, the big thing is Reggie suggests Bridgewell, and even Anastasia, she says HBU. So it's basically the debate of, do you want the best education possible, or do you want to have the best college experience possible? It's just one of those things. It's funny because she asked Philip, where are you going? Bridgewell. And then, Leah and Jeremy are in the corner watching. They're excited. And he's like, oh yeah, I'm going to Bridgewell because Charlotte's going there, and wherever she goes, I go. And Charlotte, see, this is one of those things where in season 1, or maybe even, early season 2, they should have introduced a character like this, kind of a semi-love interest for Philip, given the fact that we know Sandra has Lindor. So, I mean, just like a conversation. Is this the first time she's been brought up? I believe it is. So, I don't know. But let me just say from experience, not myself, but a person I know from high school who I knew since elementary, this girl was in a relationship. I'm not saying names to protect the innocent, but this girl was in a relationship in high school with this guy. She gave up the chance to go to a really good school. I think she went to Old Dominion here in Virginia. That's nothing to say against Old Dominion, but basically that paled in comparison to the school she actually could have gone to, which would have led to a lot more opportunities. ODU, Old Dominion University. She went, and within the first week, they broke up. Yeah. So it's just like one of those things where I knew for a fact that back in the day, I remember watching, like TGIF and like, before we really had cable, just satellite TV. For some reason, it was just a big deal on TV shows and all, like, I gotta lose my virginity before I go to college. I can't be a virgin in college. As a 30-year-old virgin, that really did not make a difference for me. It really didn't. I just know that back in the day, there were just so many quote-unquote stereotypes and fears about what college was going to be. But experience is different for everybody, So I just knew before I went to college that I was making a choice based on what I wanted to do, as opposed to following another person, because that's not my journey. So, Sandra is just torn on what she wants to do. Not only that, she talks to Miss Anastasia about the fact that no one has asked how I feel about it. So, Leah just pops in and says, well, how do you feel? She's like, I don't know. So let's go over to the field day. And let me just put it this way. Brown and Vinnie, this is like, when people discuss the Squid Games when it first came out, like if you could pick like 3 to 5 games that you would participate in Squid Games, it's like, yo man, dodgeball, 4 square, jump rope, musical chairs. You remember that from your prime, like, when I was in elementary school or when I was in middle school. But when you're like 15, 20 plus years older, you can't move the same, because when was the last time you played those games? So Brown and Vinnie, all the smack talk, which was actually pretty funny, they both fell over during the potato sack race, the toilet paper challenge, squats. They could barely do one because they're so stiff. So the last competition, which would be, the one that declared the winner, since they both failed at the other two, the spicy chip challenge. Basically, they both eat a spicy chip. First one who goes for the emergency milk loses. So Sandra actually gets her letters back, and Leah and Reggie are excited, and she opens them both. She gets upset and runs off. And then Leah reads through the letters, and it turns out she got accepted into both of them. And like I said earlier, we got Leah and Reginald who are on the side of Bridgewell, while you have Anastasia and Cora on the side of Crawford. Well, Anastasia was more so just talking about her experience as opposed to trying to push Sandra into doing, just go to HBU. So from there, Cora and Leah go up to see Sandra, and they, at first, Cora's like, hey, you know what? We shouldn't be putting pressure on you. We all love you no matter what you choose. And her and Leah just go back and forth, back and forth. So we go back to the chip challenge. And FA, I believe, is the only character missing in this episode. Everybody's in the kitchen. The challenge is going down. Freak Philip's like, hey, you got to wear these special gloves because these chips are so hot, so spicy, they will burn your skin upon contact, which begs a lot of questions as to why the heck you would put this thing in your mouth. So just to go over the rules again, you put the chip in your mouth, you eat the whole thing, and the first one who goes for the milk loses. So they both do it, and it takes a few seconds, but it hits. They're running around. I think Vinnie answers the phone or something like that. They running towards the fridge. No, I think Vinnie runs to put his head in the freezer. Brown goes for the phone, and then eventually he goes for the milk. And he said, he loses. I think he said his stomach tore up. And then Vinny just tosses both glasses of milk on himself because the chip was so hot. And Vinny is the winner. And we get a good scene. And this is what I'm talking about here. We get a good scene. Sandra's still unsure about which school to go to. And Vinny comes in just to have a chat. Because at first, she assumes he's there about HBU, but he just tells her that, a lot. I know a lot more than people around here give me credit for. But regardless of what happens, this is your choice. When you're at the university, you're by yourself. We ain't going to be there. So what you need to do is get everybody together and announce which university you've chosen. Wait, how do you know I chose already? Because you just told me. And this is what I'm talking about, where you have these character moments for the quote-unquote comic relief of a series, where they can have a moment where there's no jokes. They pretty much just break it down and he told the truth. This was just like CJ in last week's House of Pain, where Miranda and Calvin are going back and forth about Christian being a groomsman in the wedding, and he didn't hold no special meeting like Ella did. He didn't stretch it out longer than it needed to be. He took about 60 to 90 seconds to put them both in their place. In his case, it was telling Calvin to consider, he was telling Calvin that it was Miranda's right not to let Christian in the wedding, but also scolded Miranda for at least considering Calvin's request as opposed to just quickly saying no, and then also called her out on Laura not stealing something that Miranda doesn't even have anymore. So this felt the same thing with Vinny. He basically sat Sandra down and said, hey, this is your call. And when you get to university, we're not going to be there. You have to live with the choice you made. And I'm like, there we go. So she gets everybody in her room. I think Philip and Jeremy aren't there. I could be wrong, but basically she picked Crawford. And even though Leah isn't too happy, she's like, you know what? I'm proud of you. So the final scene is a chip challenge. And, Leah's like, if I win, then you go on the Bridgewell. But if you win, I'll let you go to your little college. And they both have the chip, but we don't see who won. I'm like, come on now. I'm just going to assume that Sandra won. Or at the very least, this was just a funny way to end up the episode. And it's interesting how both shows of the week had a challenge where you had Lisa beating the crap out of Malik and Bruno, a Uno knockoff, and then you have another chip challenge between Sandra and Leah at the end of Assisted Living. But like I said, this was a very relatable episode. It was something that hit close to home for me, just like the maintenance episode did last week. So Assisted Living continues to knock it out of the ballpark. Again, congratulations on being renewed for season 3. And with that being said, like and subscribe. I'd really appreciate it. And if you want to donate to the channel, feel free to do so on PayPal or Cash App.